And central bank balance sheets are going to push investors into gold, and they're looking at the 3,000 over the next 18 months. Francisco Blanch, BofA Securities Global Head of Commodities Research, joins me now. Francisco, I got to be honest, I read the note 3 times yesterday because I couldn't believe you actually made a call for 3,000 in 18 months. I was covering gold 10, 15 years ago, and I would have never heard that kind of call.
Nope, we're still not even above $2,000 an ounce. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Thanks so much for watching. You know what to do with all of that subscribe and bell notification stuff. So I wanted to talk about gold. The thing that has struck me recently was the fact that gold has still yet to really have that $2,000 floor established. We are looking at around $1,970 at the time of the recording of this video, and gold still has yet to essentially establish that $2,000 floor, so which it can then continue to make gains above $2,000. Now, I want to say 3 years ago, I had an analyst on the channel, Chris Vermeulen. I've had him on a couple of times, and the man knows his stuff. But I remember back then, I think he was calling for around $2,200 or $2,500 gold, and we ended up obviously hitting the pandemic, COVID-19, and we never really established that $2,500 price. And it got me to looking at various YouTube channels and news outlets and content creators and things like that. And a lot of people have made predictions of $2,500, $3,000 gold. In fact, I've even recalled seeing stuff saying the $10,000 gold. And in my opinion, $10,000 gold, that is a long ways off. But is $3,000 gold, is that feasible? Is $2,500 gold feasible? Now, I don't make predictions on this channel, mostly because if I were to make predictions, I guarantee you that I would get the prices completely wrong. And I know that people that watch this channel would love to say, you were wrong, Stormy. It never hit, whatever you predicted, and you don't know what you're talking about and all that stuff. So I never make predictions. And plus, I also feel that a broken clock is always right twice a day. So I stay away from predictions. However, I have no problem of having discussions with people that are a lot more knowledgeable about gold and financials and macroeconomics, people that are a lot better at discussing that topic than myself. And I like to pick their brains and see what it is that they think, why they think they will see $2,500 gold, $3,000 gold, etc. That leads me to today's video. I actually have Alastair Still. He's the CEO of GoldMining Inc. And I've had him on the channel multiple times. And what I like about Alastair is that he's a Star Wars fan. And a couple of times when we've had our interviews, he actually was wearing my Empire Precious Metals pin. Now, I've seen him on Kitco and I've seen him on other news outlets, and he hasn't worn the Empire Precious Metals pin at those events. I have to kind of pressure him, I think, next time I have him on to put him up to it, maybe dare him to wear it. I'm sure he would probably get thrown out of the company if he were to do such a thing. But anyway, I have him on the channel today. He has been talking to a lot of other industry leaders about the price of gold, and they do think that we are going to see $2,500 gold, if not even $3,000 gold in the not too distant future. I'm not so sure about $3,000. $2,500, okay, I might accept that, but I want to talk to Alastair, and then we will jump right back here afterwards. Everybody, I'm really happy to have with me now for the third time on the channel. I believe it's the third time. Alastair Still, how are you? It's good to see you again.
I'm doing very well, thanks. Super to be back on the show again to join you today.
I appreciate that you're making time too, because I know you're at a conference right now. You have a lot going on, and so I was just excited to have you on. Once I got the notification that we had the opportunity to speak, I said, "Is it Alastair?" And they said yes. So I was all systems go.
Yeah, no, I was excited to share our news, not only that we've had out this week, but just the general update on the company as well.
Awesome. Before we dive into that, I did want to ask you a little bit about gold. When we last spoke, I think it was about 2 months ago, give or take, and we were hovering right around the $2,000 mark, very high 1900s. You look today, we are still there. Just kind of curious as to what your thoughts are as to when you think we might see, that breakthrough that $2,000 mark.
Well, my views on gold haven't changed. I still remain very bullish on the metal. And in fact, this week I'm at a major symposium on the East Coast, which is a number of industry professionals, a number of analysts, a number of followers who are deeply entrenched and follow the details and the movements of the metal prices in the various companies. And there's a lot of bullish sentiment in the air here. I'm hearing people talk about price targets of $2,500 or even $3,000 an ounce. So there certainly is some optimism in the air, and I think there are some potential catalysts coming up for that. We see that we've probably peaked at the interest rate adjustments from the Fed. I think that there's so little room left to move there, and maybe that era is coming to an end, peaking and maybe starting to decline in the not too distant future. That certainly could have a significant impact on the price of gold. And I think the overall sentiment is just shifting in general, recognizing the unrecognized value, if you will, of a metal that's been slowly increasing, but the equities have yet to catch up to it. So I think there's some positive sentiment on the horizon. There certainly are some fundamentals, perhaps driven by the Fed and interest rates, which probably are, if they haven't peaked, they're very close to peaking or plateauing. I think all of which is very positive for the price of gold.
Now, what do you say to the people that I hear this all the time within the precious metals world on YouTube? People say that the prices of silver and gold are manipulated, that they're controlled and beat down time and time again. What do you say about the people that say, oh, it's never going to go up because the prices are manipulated?
I mean, I don't know what drives those arguments, and I don't subscribe to them myself. I think certain metals certainly have a more traditional sort of supply and demand curve, like a metal such as copper, which we have exposure to, which you can very clearly see that the demand is growing with the electrification of the economy, electrification of vehicles. There's definite traditional supply and demand there pushing the price there. Gold and silver arguably a little more difficult to follow on the pure supply and demand side because there's stores of gold and central banks, etc. But the reality is that even though we're seeing gold prices near $2,000 per ounce, we're still not approaching the all-time highs, which if you inflation adjust from the early 1980s, would be somewhere near $3,000 an ounce. So I still think the fundamentals are there. The demand is there, and we see certain indicators and catalysts on the horizon for a push upward in the metal prices.
Now let's talk about, because you said you have access to copper. I was actually reading that you have somewhere in the ballpark of, I want to say, 23 million ounces of gold equivalent resources that you have access to. I also know that you have a large lineup of heavy hitter investors. Some of the names, you have Doug Casey, Rick Rule. I know that you have BlackRock as well and some other funds. So what do you attribute to this, historic, I would say, stock price when it comes to gold rallying and your company? It always seems that your stock price does very, very well whenever we do see these gold rallies. What do you think the reason is for that?
Well, I think in quite simple terms, we're highly leveraged to the price of gold. And not just the price of gold. You did mention, though, that we have about 20% of the weighting in the total portfolio has an exposure to copper. Okay. And copper occurs as a byproduct in a couple of our deposits, which is an important contributor as well. We can value things on the price of gold, but whenever you have copper occurring with the gold, that's an additional element to drive value. And as for our shareholders, we have some strong retail investment. We also have institutional investors. In fact, you mentioned Rick Rule. He runs a major symposium every year. We invited to that as select companies are invited to that. We know we have support for those type of institutional investors who recognize the fundamental values of the company. Not only does it have a very strong resource base, 23 million gold equivalent resource ounces, all in the Americas. It's got a very strong balance sheet. In fact, the value of our our balance sheet, cash and equities, is worth more than our current market cap. So yes, you heard that correct. We're trading less than our enterprise value right now. So in a sense, our strong balance sheet means the exposure to those 23 million ounces essentially comes as a free option right now, which is a tremendous value buying opportunity, which institutional investors recognize with the resources, the balance sheet, and the experienced team we have working on the project and working at our company, all make for a classic combination of the right reasons to invest in a company.
So now when you're talking about this tremendous value of your company, I know that you have spoken in the past about unlocking some of the value from the portfolio. What are going to be some of the catalysts in 2023 that are going to help you do this? And I think you just had some big news come out yesterday that kind of feeds into these catalysts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the news we had out yesterday, which was an updated preliminary economic assessment on our Lamina project in Colombia, which essentially capitalized on exploration drilling discovery we made last year. For a discovery cost of less than $2 per ounce, we added over 1 million ounces in resources at our Lamina project. We've now updated with a third-party independent engineering firm a preliminary economic assessment on that project, and that one project alone has a net asset value now of some $274 million. It is projected to produce 1.74 million gold equivalent ounces over a 12-year mine life, so averaging about 143,000 gold equivalent ounces per year. That's coming in at a very impressive cash cost of $786 per ounce. And remember, we talked earlier, current price is near $1,950 per ounce.
Yeah.
So very healthy margin on those ounces. It's a great success. And I would point out that's just one project of 8 that each have more than 1 million gold equivalent ounces in our portfolio. And the value of the NAV of that one project, never mind our cash and equities, again, worth more than our entire market cap. So talk about value drivers, pieces of value in the equation. They all start adding up to a very impressive investment opportunity.
Absolutely. So the other thing too, I was looking at some of the information on the company, and you have, I believe, 20 million shares of a gold royalty. I'm looking here, also 81% ownership of USGO, which is a newly listed company on NASDAQ. And then just to look at some other stats here, it looks like your gold resources are effectively worth about $1 an ounce, which is like a really low figure. Does management view this like the same way that I describe it, or?
Absolutely. I mean, you pointed to some of the key elements on our balance sheet. So as long with our cash and some other equities, we have two major investments on our balance sheet, and these are companies we have created as IPOs. They're traded on the NYSE, that is Gold Royalty Corp, a company we created 2 years ago. It is a publicly traded company. It raised $90 million on the IPO, and we own over 21 million shares in that company. So at current market prices, it's somewhere in the range of $40 million. And you also pointed out that earlier this year in April, we launched US GoldMining Inc.,
Yep.
of which we own over 80% of. And current trading values, that has a value of some $140 million on our balance sheet. So you start adding the pieces up together, the sum of the parts is certainly worth a lot more than the current market cap. And that's why I say not just we're trading the resource ounces at $1 per ounce, we're actually trading at a negative value right now because our enterprise our market cap is significantly less than our enterprise value. So those resource ounces really come as a great free option right now. And we highlighted just one of them with the PEA results on Lamina that were announced earlier this week.
So let me ask you, so like the combined market cap of all the projects that you own, because you have such a large array of projects and companies, at their earlier prices, how much did you actually pay for them?
Well, it's a great story on growth and creation and being opportunistic. And we credit our founder and chairman, Amir Adnani. Many of your followers will know him and the successes he's had. He created this company over a 10-year period where he acquired assets in downturns, low turns in the cycle, and really was paying 10 cents on the dollar at a time when people couldn't afford to manage a project or the prices were down. And really now we are in that harvest mode. We're recognizing the value. those opportune buys in the past when the markets were depressed. We're now at a time where we're unlocking value on those projects, showing the true value for them, and moving them forward to create value for our shareholders. So yes, it was a great time to be buying assets at opportune moments. Now is a great time to be harvesting from those. We've demonstrated that very well with the IPO and the equity investments we now have, and advancements on projects such as Lamina, which continues to grow and enhance value for our shareholders.
So, Alastair, before we wrap up, do you have any other additional information that you would like to throw out there before we sign off? Because I know you have other meetings and things that you need to get to.
No, I'm very excited, certainly, about the PEA results at Lamina, which we talked about today. And I know I've been talking with our team who's working in Alaska at the Whistler project, which is now being run by US GoldMining, and the crew is now starting to mobilize a drill to that site. The first drilling in more than 10 years will be happening on that project in the next coming weeks. And stay tuned for news and announcements as that drilling officially kicks off. And we look forward to seeing drill results at the Whistler project, which already has an impressive gold copper resource of some 9.5 million gold equivalent ounces. We're looking to expand and better define that. So stay tuned as we announce the drilling coming up for our Whistler project, being managed by our entity, US GoldMining in Alaska. That's an exciting new catalyst just on the horizon as well.
Got to get you back on when that starts happening. I want to see footage of you with the construction hat on your head in the field, actually taking the gold off the sleuths there. I don't know the technical terms, but very exciting to say the least. And really happy for you that the company and all the projects are going so well. And like I said, you're always welcome here. I think you hold the record right now with being on 3 times, and it's just always a pleasure to have you. So greatly appreciate the time today.
Always willing and happy to accept an invitation, and look forward to providing a next update with our drilling as it advances over the summer.
Sounds good. Everybody, I'm going to put the information for GoldMining Inc. down below. Definitely make sure you check out the website. The ticker has been on the screen, GLDG, and we will be providing you an update within the next coming months. Thanks again, Alastair.
Pleasure. Talk soon.
All right, so it was great having Alastair on the channel once again. So in his discussions with various leaders within the mining industry and commodities world, they do think that we are going to see $2,500 gold. I didn't pressure Alastair as to when he thinks this will be. They believe that it's going to be within the next couple of years. I know from previous discussions that I've had with him. $3,000 gold, I still feel it's a bit of a stretch, but never say never. I still will stack gold right now. I think it's a good value. I think that it is, in my opinion, cheap. We saw gold hit intraday trading of 2,070 something bucks, I want to say about 2 years ago. So we know that gold has room to move. So I will continue to stack this stuff. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Do you think we will see $2,500 gold? And if so, do you think we'll even see $3,000 gold? Let me know in the comments down below.